Most people think you need manure or expensive fertilizers to build rich soil, but nature has a quieter, cleaner way. Today, I'm going to show you 5 simple techniques that will transform your November garden into a self-nourishing ecosystem, one that rebuilds itself through winter and rewards you with triple the harvest by spring. These are methods that work with nature's rhythm, not against it. They're free or low cost, they don't smell, and they create soil that gets better year after year. If you're new here, welcome to Zero to Purpose, where we take simple hands-on steps to live more creatively, sustainably, and intentionally. Whether you're a complete beginner or you've been gardening for decades, these techniques will change the way you think about soil. Grab a tea, settle in, and let's begin. Item 1. Leaf mold, the free soil miracle. This is leaf mold, and it's one of the most powerful, overlooked soil amendments you can make at home. It's completely free, odorless, and rivals expensive commercial products for mineral content and soil improvement. This is important because it transforms waste into wealth and builds the foundation for healthier plants without spending a penny. Trees are nature's miners. They send roots deep into the earth and pull up nutrients that shallow-rooted garden plants can never reach. All those minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, trace elements, get stored in the leaves. When autumn comes and those leaves fall, they're not trash. They're concentrated nutrition. When those leaves break down with the help of fungi, they create humus, a dark, spongy material that holds water like a reservoir, feeds beneficial bacteria, and improves soil structure without any synthetic chemicals. Leaf mold is nature's slow, steady way of building topsoil, and you can harness that same process in your own backyard. Here's how to make it. Start by collecting autumn leaves from your yard or neighborhood. Oak, maple, beech, anything clean and chemical-free. Avoid leaves from roadsides where they might be contaminated with exhaust or chemicals. You don't need a lot of space. Do this. Shred or chop the leaves to speed up breakdown. You can run a lawn mower over them or use a garden shredder. Then pile them in a mesh bag, wire bin, or just a corner of your garden. Moisten them lightly with a hose. They should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not soaking. Maintain the pile by checking it every few weeks. If it dries out, add water. If it's too wet, fluff it with a garden fork. Fungi will slowly decompose the leaves into dark, crumbly leaf mold by spring or early summer. You'll know it's ready when it's brown, crumbly, and smells earthy. The practical payoff is incredible. Leaf mold increases your soil's water-holding capacity by up to 50%, improves drainage in clay soils, feeds earthworms and beneficial insects, and provides a dozen plant nutrients in a form that roots absorb easily. You'll water less, fertilize less, and grow healthier, more resilient plants. Your tomatoes will be juicier, your flowers more vibrant, and your soil will feel alive under your hands. And here's a small pro tip that speeds things up. If you want faster results, run a lawnmower over the leaves before piling them. Smaller pieces have more surface area, which means fungi can colonize them faster. You'll have usable leaf mold in just a few months instead of waiting a full year. It's a small step that makes a big difference. Item 2. Compost tea, liquid gold for your garden. Compost tea is like a probiotic superfood for your soil. It's teeming with beneficial microbes that boost plant growth, improve nutrient uptake, and naturally suppress diseases like root rot, powdery mildew, and damping off. This is important because it transforms ordinary compost into a living liquid fertilizer that you can apply directly to roots or spray on leaves for instant absorption. When you steep finished compost in water, you extract millions of beneficial bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and nutrients. These microbes create a living ecosystem in your soil. They break down organic matter, making nutrients bioavailable exactly when your plants need them. They compete with harmful pathogens, crowding them out and protecting your plants naturally. They even help plants resist drought and temperature stress by strengthening root systems and improving soil structure. It's one of the most powerful, underutilized tools in organic gardening. Here's how to make it. Start by filling a 5-gallon bucket with clean, non-chlorinated water. If you use tap water, let it sit overnight so the chlorine evaporates. Add a shovelful of finished compost. It should be dark, crumbly, and smell earthy. Use a mesh bag or old pillowcase to keep the compost contained so it doesn't make a mess. Do this. Steep the compost for 24 to 48 hours, stirring occasionally to keep oxygen flowing. or use an aquarium air pump to create aerated compost tea, which encourages aerobic bacteria and gives you an even more potent brew. The bubbles keep the good microbes thriving and prevent anaerobic conditions that can create bad smells or harmful bacteria. Maintain freshness by using the tea as soon as it's ready. Microbial activity is highest in the first few hours after brewing, and it declines quickly after that. Apply the finished tea directly to soil around plant roots or pour it into a spray bottle and mist it on leaves. Both methods work beautifully. The practical payoff is transformative. Compost tea improves soil structure, reduces the need for synthetic fertilizers, increases nutrient retention so less leaches away, and helps plants resist pests and diseases naturally. Your plants grow stronger, greener, and more resilient with every application. Seedlings establish faster, mature plants produce more fruit, and your garden becomes a thriving ecosystem instead of a struggle. And here's a pro tip that multiplies the power. Add a tablespoon of unsulfured molasses to your brew before you start aerating. Molasses feeds the microbes, giving them the energy they need to multiply rapidly. You'll end up with a tea that's even more concentrated with beneficial organisms. It's like upgrading from regular compost tea to super compost tea with one simple ingredient. Just make sure it's unsulfured because sulfur can inhibit microbial growth. Item 3. Lasagna layering. Remineralize. Manure. Build soil while you sleep. Lasagna gardening, also called sheet composting, is a no-till method where you layer organic materials right on top of your soil. By spring, those layers break down into rich, fluffy earth. No digging, no tilling, no backbreaking work required. This is important because it mimics the way nature builds soil in forests, where fallen leaves and organic matter decompose in layers year after year, creating deep, fertile topsoil. You're working with nature instead of fighting it, and the results are extraordinary. You're mimicking nature's forest floor by alternating carbon-rich brown layers like leaves, straw, and shredded paper with nitrogen-rich green layers like grass clippings, kitchen scraps, and coffee grounds. Microorganisms and earthworms do all the work for you. They digest the layers, breaking them down into nutrient-dense humus and building healthy soil structure. The carbon provides energy, the nitrogen provides protein, and together they create the perfect environment for soil life to explode. Within months, you'll have soil that's loose, dark, and alive with activity. Here's how to do it. Start by choosing a spot for your new garden bed. It can be grass, weeds, bare dirt, it doesn't matter. Lay down a thick layer of cardboard or several sheets of newspaper over the entire area. This smothers weeds and grass, killing them without chemicals and creating a barrier that decomposes over time. Overlap the edges so nothing pokes through. Do this. Add alternating layers on top of the cardboard. Start with 2 to 3 inches of brown material. Autumn leaves, straw, shredded paper, or wood chips. Then add 1 to 2 inches of green material. Fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps, coffee grounds, or garden trimmings. Repeat this brown-green pattern 3 to 4 times, finishing with a brown layer on top to keep things neat and reduce odors. Each layer should be distinct but doesn't need to be perfect. Maintain moisture by watering each layer lightly as you build. Moisture activates decomposition and keeps the microbes working through winter. The pile will shrink as it breaks down, so don't worry if it looks tall at first. By spring, it will have compacted into a bed you can plant directly into. The practical payoff is dramatic. By spring, your lasagna layers will have shrunk down and transformed into nutrient-dense, friable soil. You can plant directly into it without tilling, and it stays moist all summer with less watering because the organic matter acts like a sponge. Your plants grow faster, produce more, and resist pests better because the soil is alive with beneficial organisms. And here's a pro tip for faster planting. If you're starting in November and want to plant by early spring, add a 2 to 3 inch layer of finished compost or topsoil on top of your lasagna bed. You can plant seeds or transplants into that layer right away while the deeper layers continue breaking down underneath. The roots will grow down into the decomposing material as it becomes available, giving your plants a steady supply of nutrients all season long. If these ideas are sparking something for you, go ahead and tap the like button so more people can find this. And tell me in the comments, which technique are you most excited to try? Are you starting with leaf mold, compost tea, or maybe layering your beds lasagna style? Maybe you're planning to plant cover crops this weekend. I love hearing what you're working on, and I read every comment. Your questions and experiences help shape future videos, so don't be shy. Let's build a community of growers who work with nature, not against it. Item 4. Rock dust. Minerals from the earth. Rock dust is pulverized stone packed with trace minerals and elements that most garden soils lack after years of cultivation. It's a long-term amendment that remineralizes depleted ground and feeds both plants and soil microbes for years to come. This is important because modern agriculture and even home gardening depletes soil minerals over time. Every harvest removes nutrients, and if you only replace the big three, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, you're missing dozens of micronutrients that plants need for optimal health, flavor, and nutrition. Rock dust fills that gap naturally. Glacial rock dust, basalt, azomite, and green sand contain calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, phosphorus, manganese, copper, boron, and dozens of other micronutrients. These minerals aren't just food for plants, they're also food for soil microbes. When you add rock dust to your garden, you stimulate microbial activity. Bacteria and fungi break down the rock particles slowly over time, releasing minerals in forms that plant roots can absorb. This process improves soil texture, helps sandy soils hold moisture better, and loosens compacted clay so air and water can penetrate. It's a slow-release amendment that keeps working season after season. Here's how to use it. Start by choosing a rock dust suited to your soil type and needs. Glacial rock dust is versatile and works well in most gardens. Basalt is rich in iron and magnesium and raises pH slightly, making it good for acidic soils. Azomite is mined from ancient volcanic deposits and contains over 70 trace minerals. Green sand is high in potassium and improves drainage in clay soils. Do this. Spread a light dusting of rock dust over your garden beds in November. About 1 to 2 cups per square yard is plenty. You don't need much because it's so concentrated. Then work it gently into the top few inches of soil with a rake or garden fork, or simply let rain and earthworms carry it down naturally. Maintain effectiveness by reapplying annually or every few years depending on your soil's needs. Rock dust releases minerals slowly over time as microbes, acids from plant roots, and weathering break it down. It's not a quick fix, it's a long-term investment in soil health. The practical payoff is subtle but powerful. Rock dust boosts plant vigor, improves the flavor and nutritional content of your harvest, and supports beneficial fungi and bacteria that form symbiotic relationships with plant roots. Your vegetables taste better, your flowers are more vibrant, and your soil becomes a living, self-sustaining system. It's especially valuable for perennial gardens, fruit trees, and beds you plan to use for many years. And here's a pro tip that accelerates results. Mix rock dust with compost before applying it to your garden. The organic matter helps activate the minerals by providing food for the microbes that break down the rock particles. It also creates a slow-release fertilizer blend that gives you the best of both worlds. Fast-acting nutrients from compost and long-term minerals from rock dust. Just blend them together in a wheelbarrow and spread the mixture over your beds. Item 5. Cover crops. Green manure. Living soil builders. Cover crops, also called green manure, are plants you grow specifically to protect and enrich your soil during the off-season. They prevent erosion, suppress weeds, fix nitrogen from the air, build organic matter, and attract beneficial insects. This is important because bare soil is vulnerable soil. When you leave beds empty over winter, rain washes away topsoil, wind erodes the surface, nutrients leach into groundwater, and weeds take over. Cover crops solve all of those problems at once while actually improving your soil for next season's crops. It's one of the smartest, most effective techniques in sustainable gardening. Legumes like clover, field peas, and vetch have specialized bacteria in their root nodules that pull nitrogen from the air and inject it into the soil. Nitrogen is the most important nutrient for leafy growth, and it's also the most expensive to buy and the quickest to leach away. By growing legumes, you're manufacturing your own fertilizer for free. Grasses like winter rye, oats, and annual ryegrass add carbon-rich biomass that decomposes into organic matter, improving soil structure and feeding earthworms and microbes. When you cut them down before flowering and till them in, or leave them as mulch, all that nitrogen and organic matter becomes available for next season's crops. It's a closed-loop system that builds fertility naturally. Here's how to plant cover crops. In early to mid-November, broadcast seeds like winter rye, crimson clover, field peas, or hairy vetch over bare garden beds. You can plant them individually or mix them together for even better results. Combining a legume and a grass gives you nitrogen fixation plus biomass production. Do this. Rake lightly to cover seeds with about a 1/4 inch of soil, then water gently with a hose or watering can. The seeds will sprout quickly and grow through fall and into early winter, even when temperatures drop. They'll go dormant during the coldest months and then start growing again in early spring. Maintain the crop by letting it grow until early spring, about 2 to 3 weeks before you want to plant your main crops. Then cut it down at ground level with a scythe, mower, or string trimmer before it flowers and sets seed. You can either till the cut material into the soil or leave it on the surface as mulch. Both methods work. Tilling speeds decomposition, while mulching protects soil structure and feeds surface-dwelling organisms. The practical payoff is remarkable. Cover crops reduce or eliminate the need for synthetic fertilizers, improve water infiltration so less runs off and more soaks in, feed earthworms and soil microbes that create healthy soil structure, and leave your garden soil loose, fluffy, and ready to plant. It's nature's way of rebuilding fertility on its own. Your soil gets better every year instead of depleting, and you spend less money and time on amendments. And here's a pro tip for late planting. If you're planting late in November and worried about germination, choose winter rye. It's the most cold-hardy cover crop available and will keep growing even when temperatures drop near freezing. It germinates quickly, establishes strong roots, and produces tons of biomass by spring. It's the ultimate insurance policy for protecting and improving your soil over winter. Bonus tip: the Seaweed secret. Here's the thing most people overlook when building November soil, and it's something that can amplify everything we've just talked about. Seaweed. Whether fresh from the coast or dried kelp meal from a garden center, seaweed is loaded with over 60 trace elements, natural plant hormones, enzymes, and growth stimulants that encourage deeper, stronger root systems and more vigorous growth. It's one of the most complete, balanced soil amendments in nature, and it works beautifully with everything else we've covered: leaf mold, rock dust, compost tea, cover crops, and lasagna layering. Here's why seaweed is so powerful. It contains cytokinins, which are natural hormones that promote cell division and root growth. It's rich in alginic acid, which improves soil structure and helps sandy soils hold water. It provides potassium for strong stems and disease resistance, magnesium for chlorophyll production, and iodine, zinc, iron, and dozens of other micronutrients that plants need in tiny amounts but can't do without. And unlike chemical fertilizers, seaweed feeds slowly and gently, releasing nutrients as it breaks down. It never burns plants, and it supports beneficial soil organisms instead of killing them. If you live near the ocean, you can collect fresh seaweed after a storm. Look for kelp, bladderwrack, or any brown seaweed that's washed up on shore. Avoid seaweed that's been sitting in the sun for days and smells rotten. Fresh is best. Rinse it well to remove excess salt, though a little salt won't hurt your garden. Then chop it into pieces and use it immediately. If you're inland or don't have access to fresh seaweed, buy kelp meal from any garden center or online. It's dried, ground seaweed that's easy to store and use anytime. Here's how to use it. Layer fresh seaweed into your lasagna beds between the brown and green layers. It counts as a green because it's high in nitrogen and breaks down quickly. Or mix kelp meal into your compost pile to boost microbial activity and add trace minerals. You can also steep either fresh or dried seaweed in water to make seaweed tea, just like compost tea. Fill a bucket with water, add a few handfuls of chopped seaweed or a cup of kelp meal, let it steep for a few days, then dilute it and water your plants. The results are visible within weeks. Plants grow greener, stronger, and more resistant to stress. And here's the real magic. Seaweed works synergistically with everything else. When you combine it with leaf mold, rock dust, and compost tea, you're creating a complete soil ecosystem that feeds plants, microbes, and fungi all at once. The minerals in rock dust, the organic matter in leaf mold, the microbes in compost tea, and the hormones in seaweed work together in ways that are greater than the sum of their parts. Your soil becomes a living, self-regulating system that gets better every year. It's gentle, powerful, and completely natural. And it's something most gardeners overlook simply because they don't know about it. One simple addition here makes a huge difference. So if you're serious about building incredible soil this November, don't skip the seaweed. It's the secret ingredient that ties everything together. So no matter your space, your tools, or your experience, you can start where you are and build from there. Nature knows how to heal soil, and when you work with her rhythm instead of against it, everything gets easier. You don't need expensive products, complicated systems, or years of experience. You just need to pay attention, use what's available, and let the soil teach you. These 5 techniques, leaf mold, compost tea, lasagna layering, rock dust, and cover crops, are the foundation of regenerative gardening. They work individually, but when you combine them, they create something extraordinary. Soil that builds itself, plants that thrive without chemicals, harvests that get bigger and better every year. Pick one technique from today. Maybe it's collecting leaves this weekend, brewing your first batch of compost tea, or planting a handful of rye seeds. Try it this week. Let it teach you something. Notice what happens. Then come back and try another. Drop a comment and tell me what you're starting with. I'd love to hear. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and join us here at Zero to Purpose, where we grow life, one simple project at a time. We're building a community of people who believe in working with nature, living intentionally, and creating abundance from simple, honest practices. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.